The episode starts with the vision of a handmaid dressed in a green gown carrying the blood-stained sheets of the slain boy and future heir to the throne, Rhaenyra Targaryen. Chaos has begun and it is everywhere. People are flooding the halls of the Red Keep, and a man is seen being knocked to the ground during the rush. The pot of ashes he was carrying burst on the ground, spraying up like a gigantic wave crashing ashore. All of this, hidden clues of a bigger war that is brewing. The Green Seers are coming, and with them will be all of the abominations created by the Great Other, a threat that exists from all the way around the world. That's what lies west of Westeros. There is a bigger war still coming that was not included in the original series Game of Thrones. This is a theory that I've been working on for a couple of years now, and House of the Dragon continues to supply new clues with every episode. Hi, I'm Raylene, and welcome to Khaleesi Clues. This video is a breakdown for the second episode of Season 2 House of the Dragon titled Rhaenyra the Cruel. I will not be covering the entire episode because there are many other wonderful videos that cover this. My videos are usually talking about clues that may have been missed by other videos. My videos may contain spoilers as I pull clues and information from many sources. The majority of it is mostly my speculations and opinions that I love to share and hear input from all of you. Picking back up with the episode, we get a glimpse of a black dog looking so similar to Ramsay Bolton's dogs, symbolic of a hellhound, biting at what looks like a red and gold cloth. This, again, is a hidden clue of the two colors representing the two gods warring. The dog, like a hellhound reference, and the color black being the color symbolism for the Great Other, chaos and eternal darkness. The red and gold cloth being the color symbolism for R'hllor, the Lord of Light and Life. The Great Other has struck another blow to R'hllor and mankind. Chaos and tragedy has now struck the Greens in their own home. King Aegon has lost his child, Jaehaerys, in a horrific way by two corrupted pawns in the Game of Thrones. This extreme act of violence on his innocent child has driven him into such a state of anger and madness, it is reminiscent of Jaime Lannister's description of the Mad King Aerys' final days before his death. King Aegon is heard screaming about the traitors and villains, and threatening fire from the sky as he is destroying his father's model of Valyria. Aemond is shown entering his realm and finding a gold coin that had fallen on the floor during Blood's haste. Two things to note about this coin is the position and the design shown in this scene. He holds the coin up and it completely lines up with Aemond's good eye. This gives him the appearance that he is completely blind, with both eyes missing, one covered by a patch and the other a coin. It also makes you think of the dead, as they used to put coins on the eyelids of the dead. The design shown on the coin looks like a sun symbol, but what I really believe it may be is a wheel symbol, possibly even a broken wheel symbol, since it seems to be missing a spoke. Very similar to the sigil for the house Waynwood of the Vale, which the colors are coincidentally a green field with a black wheel with 8 spokes. However, the coin looks as if it is a 9-spoke wheel. I also wondered if it was possibly a clue to Bran Stark's wheelchair, but from the image I counted a 10-spoke wheel with 1 broken, making it 9. My other thought is that the wheel design may also symbolize a ship's steering wheel, which then gives it yet another clue referring to the sea. Where this coin comes from is a mystery for now, as I could not find any match for it. A small council meeting has been called, and King Aegon is confronting and questioning everyone about where they were at the time his son was being slain. Otto is trying to calm him by reassuring him that they will know who did this soon enough. Aegon finds this to be a ridiculous statement, as he declares that it could be none other than the bitch queen of bastards, his half-sister Rhaenyra Targaryen. but the show cameras clue otherwise as it immediately turns to Varys Strong, who coincidentally enters the room at that exact moment. I thought it was also interesting how once King Aegon turned his anger towards Dowager Queen Alicent, that Larys spoke up to deflect the king's attention from her to the news of the already captured cutthroat called Blood, who just so happened to be carrying the biggest piece of evidence of the crime, little Prince Jaehaerys' severed head. This now gives the king a clear target to take his vengeance out on. But I do wonder, was that an act of protection for Queen Alicent by Larys Strong? If so, could it possibly be a hint of affection, obsession, or, dare I say, some warped type of love? If it is, we have to recall what Maester Aemon once said to Jon Snow: "Love is the death of duty." Maybe Queen Alicent and her pretty little feet will actually be the downfall to Lord Larys Strong. At least one can only hope. Queen Alicent may eventually take this mighty monster down, very similar to our other red-haired queen, Sansa Stark, being responsible for the death of another monster, Lord Peter Baelish, in Game of Thrones. As I have been claiming in so many of my videos, Larys and Mysaria are both agents of chaos, working on the same side of this war, which is the great other side. They are very similar to Littlefinger and Varys, always in competition, bickering like two siblings, and constantly trying to outdo or one-up each other. Littlefinger plays this same game of charades with Sir Lyn Corbray in the Vale, pretending to be enemies, when in all reality they are truly allies, Corbray being used as an informant for Littlefinger. I do not believe that Mysaria is as strong as Larys is, but I do believe she is vying for that spot, trying to claim that position last season by trying to win Otto Hightower's trust and favor when she revealed the unharmed Prince Aegon's location. Larys is the invisible hand that is turning the loom from Helena's cryptic vision. I believe this is also the hand Queen Alicent is referring to and suspects is actually behind this savage attack during her emotional conversation at the beginning of the episode with Otto. I think Alicent fears this retaliation is a punishment directed towards her due to Lord Larys's awareness of the relationship she has with Sir Criston Cole. Of course, the very first criminal they catch from the barbaric crime is Blood, a Goldcloak and associate of Daemon. Larys needs this guy to play his role in this game by confessing his crime and letting King Aegon know that Daemon hired him. Why would anyone suspect any other person being involved when they have a confession from the man found carrying the head of the child? This now gets all fingers pointed at Daemon and the Blacks, progressing Larys's goal of the two sides waging war against one another. During the small council meeting, the distraught king cries as he claims he will not allow his little son's body to be dragged through the streets like a dead dog. This line coming from the same character that allowed his bastard-born little son's body to be chained to the wall and eventually fed to the child fighting pits located in Flea Bottom without even one tear shed. With the death of his only male heir, I'm sure he will feel the need to make another. There is no way that he could ever consider his daughter Jaehaera as the heir. That was evident in the first episode when he completely ignored her during his quest on locating Jaehaerys. Hopefully he will at least show some kindness to Helena during this act, although that doesn't look promising, judging from the look he gave her on the stairs. He knows that she had a prophetic vision, which is why she said she was scared of the rats. I have a feeling that he will blame her for not understanding completely what her dreams were warning her about. Helena is shown hugging her child's shroud that she had been embroidering. Think of how much time it must have taken for her to complete this project. How long must she have known about the fate that was coming for her son Jaehaerys? It reminded me of how tortured Circe was from the Woods Witch prophecy given to her as a child by Maggie the Frog. Gold will be their crowns, and gold their shrouds. It's enough to drive a person completely mad. I also think the shroud is also being used as a hidden clue that supports my theory about a war that is eventually coming by sea from the other side of the world. The definition of a shroud not only is a garment which can be used to wrap a dead person in, but it is also defined as a set of ropes forming part of the standing rigging of a sailing vessel and supporting the mast from the sides. So a shroud can be a symbolic clue referring to a ship or the sea, plus the color of the shroud being green leads me to think this is yet another greenseer's clue. There is a line I wanted to point out from the scene between Helaena and Alicent while they are discussing the funeral procession for Jaehaerys. The women are discussing how they do not want to follow behind the wagon. Helaena exclaims that she doesn't want to draw the people closer, that she doesn't know them. It completely brought back memories of the Starks and how important it was for Ned Stark to know his people. From chapter 22 of A Game of Thrones, Arya remembers, back at Winterfell, they had eaten in the Great Hall almost half of the time. Her father used to say that a lord needed to eat with his men if he hoped to keep them. Know the men who follow you, she heard him tell Robb once, and let them know you. Don't ask your men to die for a stranger. It's not that I believe Ned knew everyone in the North, but it at least gives me the feeling that the Starks were way more in touch with the people of their lands, whereas Helaena and Alicent want absolutely nothing to do with the people they rule. Of course, in Helena's case, if she does have a form of autism, this can cause problems with social interactions and communication issues. It may not be that she has autism at all, but that any public interactions, particularly with people, may actually trigger more unwanted visions of the future. If that is the case, then you can understand her resistance of wanting to be around people. However, that does not excuse Alicent. There is the moment when the carriage is passing under a bridge. Helaena looks up at what appears to be possibly dried flower petals being thrown as a sign of sorrow for the young prince. Yet the music in the background sounds different. It made me wonder if she was seeing another vision. The petals looking like ashes or even snow falling, which may be a future vision of the destruction of King's Landing or even a Jon Snow reference. The hands of the people reaching up to touch Helaena as she panics and begins to pull away also reminded me in contrast of Daenerys' Misa moment, where she is carried and embraced by the hands of the newly freed Giscari slaves. Most importantly, I think, is the symbolism of the mourning veil that the women are wearing. The black veil, of course, is being worn because they truly are mourning the loss of their precious Prince Jaehaerys. But take a listen to the actual definition of a veil. It is described as a fine piece of material worn by women that serves to cover, conceal, disguise, or even hide behind. This definition is very similar to another garment we have seen used on the show called a cloak. This garment is also described as something serving to hide or disguise someone. Although the two items are generally made of completely different type of materials, one being light and delicate, giving it a non-threatening appearance, and the other made of heavier, thicker material, giving it a more threatening appearance. They can serve the exact same purpose. I think the show writers are possibly using the veil as a theme directed at the Greens. First, we have the Catspot dagger fight scene from Season 1. As Rhaenyra is holding off Alicent's hand, which is gripping the dagger, she states, "Exhausting, wasn't it? Hiding behind the cloak of your own righteousness? But now they see you as you are." Then we also see the same veil theme used in the Season 2 All Must Choose promotional posters. Alicent's poster has a green veil draped over the 7-pointed star symbol in the window behind her. This photo reinforces Rhaenyra's exact words of hiding behind a cloak of righteousness, as we are constantly reminded with the Greens, as they have removed all of the Targaryen heraldry and in its place plastered the seven-pointed star everywhere, giving the impression that they are holier than thou or have been chosen by the gods as the rightful rulers of the throne. The episode shifts to the news of Prince Jaehaerys' death reaching Rhaenyra on Dragonstone. Now we see the chaos of the event working to destroy and weaken Team Black as Rhaenyra and Daemon begin arguing over his involvement with this crime. I'm just going to say that I didn't really agree with how the show had Daemon sneak into King's Landing, hiring a few unworthy, unqualified men to carry out a deadly mission on such a skilled swordsman such as Aemond, who would typically be well guarded by other skilled swordsmen such as the Kingsguard located throughout the Red Keep. Daemon has always seemed to be the one that would pass the sentence and swing the sword himself type of guy. I definitely knew that Daemon's words were involved somehow. I just imagined it would be more like the stunt that Larys pulled on Alicent, where her wish of having her father back at court led him to staging the death of his father Lionel and brother Harwin. Of course, this is still the same type of situation for Daemon, since he has tried to explain to Rhaenyra that he never instructed the men to act on an innocent child. They have twisted his words in order to execute a plan of destruction for a hidden enemy. I just think that Daemon is smarter than this and feel as if the show didn't do him justice, maybe even dumbed him down a bit like they did to Tyrion Lannister during the final seasons of Game of Thrones. Like I said, it definitely feels out of character for him, at least in my opinion. Matter of fact, I didn't like Rhaenyra's argument with Daemon either. Bringing up long past times of her relationship with Daemon as a child and stating how she felt as if she could not trust him or his loyalty to her. They have always seemed stronger than that as a couple, like a twin flame to each other. Their loyalty to each other has been steadfast throughout the entire first season that we have to remember covered many years in a short period of time. But I guess that's how the seed of corruption works. It's planted in one's mind and then it blossoms and grows out of control. As they are tearing at each other, Rhaenyra says that Viserys could never trust Daemon to be his heir. Viserys' words to Alicent was that he named Rhaenyra to protect the realm from Daemon. Viserys' words to Daemon was that he thought he was a plague sent to destroy him. These statements Viserys made are based on a vision he may have received through a dream, but I do believe he may have misinterpreted that dream just the same as he did for his dream of his son being born wearing a crown. The dream that he may have had regarding Daemon as a threat or a plague to him or the realm, I believe was probably supposed to represent Aemond. They look and sound so similar. It would be an easy mistake to make. Later, during that horrible argument, Rhaenyra even repeats the same words that Lady Rhea Royce had said to Daemon about strike the child down. Rhaenyra's final words to him are, "You're pathetic," and he exits the room. Prince Jaehaerys approaches Baela as she is practicing with her crossbow. The crossbow may be a bit of foreshadowing for future events in the show. This clue has already been discussed in other videos. I wanted to discuss the fact that it might also be cluing to an idea that I had in my previous video titled Laenor Velaryon or Harwin Strong, Who's Your Daddy?, where I discussed the possibility of the return and death of Laenor, which involved being shot by a crossbow. The fact that Jace and Baela are talking about her uncle and his father, Laenor, during her use of this weapon may actually support my idea and be a dual clue to multiple events coming. The fact that Harwin was brought up during this conversation was surprising to me, although I do suspect that he will return eventually, since I do not believe he is actually dead, and I believe his return was actually hinted at when he departed Rhaenyra and said, "The next time we meet, we will be strangers." So who knows, maybe his return will actually happen sometime this season, although he may look completely different. The reason I say that is because I do believe there may be something more magical happening with the Strongs, such as what Old Nan refers to as Grumpkins in her stories to Bran, but that is something to be discussed in another video. Then we get the awkward scene of big bad villain Aemond One-Eye Targaryen being cradled naked like a newborn baby in a madam's arms, being served milk in a bottle. I mean a cup. Now, I really don't know what the purpose of this scene was for, but I feel as if there has got to be some kind of hidden clue that I am missing. I just thought I would bring it up because it did give me a bit of a flashback to the little Robin Aaron and his mom Lysa breastfeeding scene. But he was like half the size and age of Aemond. Maybe he is into role-playing. If so, then maybe the glimpse of the blonde dancer shown in the brothel will be shown with Aemond next, as he pretends to be Daemon and imagines her as Queen Rhaenyra. He is quite obsessed with his uncle. Skipping forward to Rhaenyra and Mysaria again, the White Worm is playing on Rhaenyra's emotions, calling herself a prisoner, acting as if Daemon has let her down with his empty promises and then slipped away. Like she is trying so hard to relate to Rhaenyra, bringing up Daemon slipping away just like he did to Rhaenyra when he left her in the Street of Silks. And did anyone else think that Rhaenyra was feeling a bit of jealousy as she was getting a real close look at Mysaria? This is the same woman she believes Daemon left her for during their crazy night out on the town. Still working to try and gain Rhaenyra's trust, Mysaria tries the angle of being a struggling female in a man's world, making her way by selling her body, achieving success, and having a home, only to have it burned down by who she claims is the Hightowers. Again, this is all a setup to gain Rhaenyra's trust. Like, look at how much we have in common. The next line is the true clue, as she states, "The hand did not like it when I showed my teeth." Rhaenyra thinks the hand she is referring to is Otto Hightower. In all reality, Mysaria has mixed a little bit of truth to her lies. The hand she is referring to is the same hand Alicent and Helena referred to earlier in my video, Larys Strong. Like I said, they are agents of chaos working for the same side and goals, but also in competition with one another. Larys is still her boss, and Mysaria's job right now is to infiltrate the Blacks and create division and chaos there, at the same time reporting back information to Larys. We are introduced to Alan and Adam of Hull earlier. There has been some slight changes to their ages from the books to the show, and I actually had a theory about them that was based on the information we got about them from the books. I'm not sure if it works with the changes they have made, but I may make a short video discussing the idea I had about them. I thought it was interesting that they showed Adam finding a crab in the sand while sea smoke flew above him. The crab makes me think of the sea clues and a possible sign of corruption. I also thought it was interesting that when talking to his younger brother Alan on the docks, that he felt as if Corlys owed the boys a debt of some kind. It made me wonder if this may play a part if and when Laenor ever returns to the series. This ties in with my previous theory of the possible death of Laenor by a crossbow, but wouldn't it be horrible if they had Adam be the one who actually shoots Laenor? Possibly out of jealousy or even by accident, but either way it would be horrible. I don't know, sometimes I get carried away with my imagination, so I guess we will have to wait and see. King Aegon's true colors are showing again, as he has hung all of the rat catchers he could find, which luckily included Cheese, who actually was guilty of the death of Prince Jaehaerys. Plot against the king, and I will pay it back 100 times. This scene with King Aegon just shows how the corruption inside him is really starting to show. This man has shown no love for his father, grandfather, wife, and definitely cares nothing for the people that he is ruling. Rhaenyra has decided to release Mysaria and arranged for her to leave Dragonstone. Mysaria is cloaked as she walks her way towards the ship. Like I said, the cloak can be used as a disguise, and here we have her pretending to be concerned about seeing the arrival of Sir Auric Cargyle. This is a last-ditch chance for her to get on the good side of Rhaenyra. The last we see is her asking for the escort to pause for a moment, leading us to believe that she is going to alert the guards about a possible threat on the life of Queen Rhaenyra. As Sir Auric chastises the men for their vigilance, he enters the doors of Dragonstone saying the enemy is about, which is true in more ways than one. All we know for sure right now is that help does not arrive in time to stop the horrible fight that ensues between the two twin brothers as Sir Eric comes to defend his queen and the battle begins. Rhaenyra screams for Elinda to run and find Sir Laurent. The battle ends in complete tragedy as both brothers die by their swords. They entered the world together and they left the world together. This is a perfect example of the work of the great other side, turning brother against brother. This fight was also foreshadowed in Helena's drawings on her bedroom wall. She has drawn two geese with swords fighting each other, along with the written words, "The goose kills its reflection and dies." The Cargyle sigil is a gold goose with a black and red striped background. But let me say that this same vision of Helena's applies not only to the Cargyle twins, but also a future event yet to come. A male goose is called a drake. The origin for the word drake comes from the Latin word draco, which also means dragon. So the gold goose is symbolic of a dragon, fighting another dragon, killing its reflection, and then dies, which I think is also cluing to the battle over the God's Eye in the future. Otto is talking to Alicent about his plans of returning to Old Town and speaks of her son, Daeron. Now, has anyone else questioned why Daeron is the only child of King Viserys to ever be sent away from King's Landing? Doesn't it seem a bit strange? It leads me to wonder if Alicent sent him away due to his appearance. Maybe a certain hair color that was possibly different from her other white-haired Targaryen children? I think it would be quite ironic if after all the comments the Greens made regarding Jace, Luke, and Joffrey's hair color not being white, which then led them to pointing fingers at them and claiming that they were all bastards because of this, only to find out when we finally see Daeron that his hair is not the same white color as his siblings either. If so, that may cause people who used the same logic to then question the parentage of Daeron, which may be the exact reason why he was sent away. The Wiki of Ice and Fire has his appearance listed as having the coloring of the blood of the dragon, which leads us to think that his coloring is the traditional white hair with a shade of purple eyes. I think it would be interesting if he actually ends up having red hair like his mother. I know there are some speculating that Daeron could be the son of Sir Criston Cole. I think the fact that Daeron is a dragon rider proves that he is truly the son of King Viserys. The episode ends with Alicent beating on Criston Cole, who had been waiting for her in her bedchambers. Her violence then turns to lust as she submits to what she considers sinful desires for Criston Cole. This scene was cut short from its original lengthy version. It was supposed to be quite animalistic and carnal in nature. I think the purpose for the original version of this scene was to try and convey to the audience an increasing show of corruption and violent type of behavior for the two characters. These are two people that started off in the series as almost pure and innocent, like a pretty little princess and a knight in shining armor. Only over time we are watching how the corruption is taking over them, destroying them, and changing them in the process, becoming completely different characters in the end. Well, that concludes my entire breakdown for this episode. I hope you all have enjoyed this video. If you would like to show support for my channel, you can like, share, comment, or subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you all have a wonderful day.